Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ankur Anand, and I'm going to talk about foreign investments in India. I'll take you through the historical context of foreign investments in India, and we'll go from 1950s to 1991 and what happened after liberalization happened in India after 1991. The major changes of policy and reforms regarding to FDI, and what changes the current government has brought to the FDI in our country, and what major pitfalls it can face because of that. So let's start. First of all, what are the different kinds of foreign investments in India? There are basically four types of investments that can happen in India. Those are called FDIs, FIIs, commercial loans, and official flows. What are commercial loans? Commercial loans are the loans which are provided by the banks, the government, or the businesses to continue their trade practices or businesses. Official flows are the grants which are given by developed countries to developing countries. The majority of capital inflows coming into India are in the form of FDIs and FIIs. FIIs are foreign institution investment, which foreign institution investors or foreign portfolio investments. These by these are basically investments into stocks and bonds of a country. So the investors of a foreign countries invest in stocks and bonds. These by nature are very liquid and very temporary in nature. So FDIs are generally preferred form of investments which a recipient country can get, because FDIs by nature are more permanent, a more longer term investment, because FDIs are generally invested into infrastructure, electricity, etc., which are more decisive for a country's a base foundational growth. So let's start from what happened in FDIs from the 1950s. After investment, the government of India policy towards FDI was a near open door policy, which became restrictive later in 1960s, 1970s, etc. Partial liberalization happened in 1980s, and that was followed by full-fledged liberalization, which we know of what happened in 1991. So what happened exactly in 1950 was that the need of foreign investment was recognized, and it was encouraged on mutually beneficial terms for industrial development. The first official position of FDIs was taken by Jawaharlal Nehru, who in 1949 recognized the foreign capital as an important supplement to domestic savings for facilitating national economic and technological progress. So in 57-58, foreign exchange crisis happened, and this led to further liberalization of the government's attitude towards FDI. Government allowed the establishment of exclusive foreign enterprises to spur the growth in terms of exports, because exports need more technological advancement and better marketing practices. Government also granted tax concessions to foreign enterprises and streamlined industrial licensing procedures, especially in the cases of the companies where 100% of the product was exported. Many incentives and concessions were provided. Slowly, these reforms turned restrictive in 1960s. What happened in 1960 was the technical capacity of domestic industry was increasing on one hand, and large-scale outflows of foreign exchange was happening because of in, because of the repatriation of dividends, profits, royalties, etc. So basically, how an FDI works is a foreign investor shows a lasting interest into a recipient's country's infrastructure and invest there. What does the foreign investor get? He gets the profits, royalties, the fees in terms of technical fees, management fees, etc. And he feeds the know-how of tech management investment into the recipient country for that to get those returns. So government started to adopt a more restrictive policy towards FDI in 1970s. The government introduced MRTP, which is the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act, and also the Patent Act. The nationalization of banks started to happen. Insurance companies, coal mines, all were nationalized. The industrial policy of 1970 confined the role of large businesses, houses, and foreign companies to the core. So after that, what happened was in 1973, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act came into the force, which restricted the flow of foreign exchange very severely. Slowly, in 1980s, partial amount of liberalization was started to happen because of the closed down nature of the Indian business scenario. A Hindu rate of growth was a term was coined, which meant basically a slow rate of growth and lack of uh, lack of innovation with respect to technologies and all. So in 1980s, little bit of liberalization happened. After 1991, the economy was fully liberalized. Till 1991, the approach towards FDI was very selective. So what happened after 1991? When the economy was liberalized, major changes were brought into the foreign investment policies of India also. 51% up until the 51%, FDI was allowed in 34 priority sectors, which included manufacturing, mining, etc. Basically, in the start, there was a two-way approval process of FDI. That is, you have to inform RBI beforehand about what investments you are doing into the country, and then you will get the permission or license to invest into the country. In 93-94, a change was brought in which meant that the NRIs can repatriate their profits from the country. Overseas corporate bodies were given automatic approval for equity in priority industries. In 99-2000, a major shift began to happen, as in the automatic approval process was enforced more fully, as in you don't need to inform to the RBI that you are going to invest into the country. Only after you have issued the shares for the foreign capital, then you have to inform the RBI. So that was an easier method to invest in the country. Also, the limit on mining was increased from 50 to 74%. In 2000s, Foreign Exchange Management Act was introduced instead, which replaced Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. So the switch of words from regulation to management also shows the shift in attitude of the government of the country. Now they were more keen on managing the foreign exchange instead of regulating the foreign exchange which comes into the country. In 2000, Foreign Investment Implementation Authority was also established, which helped foreign investors to help them with the procedures required, forms to help them invest into country in a more streamlined manner. In 2005, one major change which happened was 100% FDI was implemented for townships and housing, etc. Special economic zones were established in February of 2006. In 2010, many more sectors opened up, which included repair and operations, manufacturing repair and operations, titanium mining, etc. 100% FDI limit was implemented in these sectors. The minimum capitalization requirement was also done away with. The locking period, which was 3 years before for the foreign investors, was also removed. After 2010 to 2006, in the contemporary times, what the one of the major changes which happened was 51% FDI was allowed in multi-brand retail in 2012. This was at the discretion of the states, as in the states can decide whether to implement F, whether to allow the multi-brand retailers to open in the state or not. A general trend which has been seen is that the states which have been controlled by BJP government are generally not very conducive to the opening of multi-brand retail as compared to Congress ruled states which are more encouraging towards multi-brand retail such as Walmart, etc. This is majorly because of the electoral constituencies which comprise these states. BJP is more in the favor of traders, their voter base is more of traders and businessmen, whereas Congress is counts their voters more as middle class people. So this is one of the contrast which is between those two major parties of India. In 2014-15, Make in India policy was introduced by newly elected government of BJP. So that also liberalized 25 more sectors to spur the growth of industrial development in India. In the latest news, in 2016, 100% FDI was allowed in airlines and defense sector. So this was also met with some criticisms that defense sector should not be opened up to the foreign players, but in the long run it will be beneficial because FDI encourages the technological know-how, the advanced technological know-how of the foreign countries to come to India. So as of 2016, the top contributors of FDI in India to India were Singapore, which led with 89,000 crores of investment, Mauritius, USA, Netherlands, Japan, etc. Historically, Mauritius has been the top contributor of FDI in India. That is mainly because of the Mauritius Route. What is the Mauritius Route? India has a double taxation avoidance agreement with 88 countries. What that basically means is if you want to invest in India through those countries, then you won't be taxed doubly. As in, you won't be taxed in that country and in India as well. Since the capital gains tax in Mauritius is very low, that is only 3%, so majority of the investment inflows come through Mauritius. One of the very famous cases is that of Vodafone acquiring SR. Because of that, also because of that, India used Vodafone to avoid taxes, and they implemented GAAR, that is General Anti-Avoidance Rules Regulations, in a retrospective manner, which again got government of India into hot water because of uh, clamping down on international companies. So while the latest FDI policy changes will certainly bring FDI inflows into India and bring an economic boost to the country, there are certain pitfalls that the Indian government should be mindful of. One of them is domestic economy, employment, and economic security of the people might take a hit because rather than promoting employment, these FDI relaxations might just accelerate the ongoing trend of joblessness and rising inequality. How is that so? There was a provision of sourcing 30% of the materials, the components from the local manufacturers when a foreign company which intends to manufacture in India was there before. But now a 3 year relaxation period has been provided, which can be extended to 5 years under special circumstances. So this is bound to hurt the local manufacturers. Also, with respect to infrastructure, India now has that kind of capability and the technology to either through sole ownership or joint ventures, they can handle the infrastructure themselves. Instead of 100% FDI in infrastructure, joint venture should be given a more focus on. The agricultural economy and the families dependent on it will also take a hit because now 100% FDI is allowed in animal husbandry, retail and trading of food products might lead to greater consideration and consolidation of farmlands towards the corporates. So majority of small farmers will now be more vulnerable, and now they will be more susceptible to migrate towards the city. FDI policies of India should be supportive and subservient to the social economic development of India rather than dictating it. Because it has been seen that democracies with high income and low social strife are the ones which have opened their economies to the foreign capital in a major way only after acquiring a reasonable degree of domestic economical stability, industrial technological competence, and overall prosperity. Opening a large economy to foreign investments without underlying their own foundations, such as the strengthening of suppliers first, is similar to injecting a fat person with drugs and steroids to make him stronger and bigger without paying much attention to the underlying foundation of that person, which who will be inherently weak and vulnerable. Let's not let that happen to India. It is important to be at the technological innovation edge of the world, but it is equally important to build our own foundations first, to build our own supply networks, to build our own manufacturing capabilities, to build our own services sector, to build our own agricultural sector. Then only India can be a true superpower of the world. Thank you.